Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice.
What are the best things that have happened here in 2023, and what can we expect for this next year in 2024? Hey, everybody, this is Chad Madden with the Grow Your Practice podcast. And in this episode, I'm going to do some reflection. And we're going to start with what went poorly here for us as private practice owners looking back over 2023. Well, the first big thing, and maybe it's the only big thing, is we have increased pressure. This is not new. If you're new to the podcast, then you're going to hear us talk a lot about, we have declining reimbursements. We have another Medicare cut coming. Or if we're in a cash-based situation, we have a decreased willingness to pay from the consumer. There's less free money floating around like we had back in 2021, 2022 with the very large government subsidies that were going out into the marketplace. So there's less free cash flow for the average American, which also puts increased pressure on the private practice because now we have less expendable income per household. So declining reimbursements, declining revenue, decline in willingness to pay for services. We have upward pressure on patient responsibility. So higher copays, higher deductibles for those of us that are in network. We have overall an increase in health spend, which seems like an amazing deal. I can recall back in 2016, 2017, when I started reporting on the CMS.gov annual expenditure reports, and we were spending roughly $10,000 per person in this country on healthcare. That number has now exceeded in 2022 $13,000 per year, which seems amazing. And you would think that if we're a private practice owner, a clinician in a growing economy such as we are here in the US, that would be great news for us. However, if we look at conservative care, there is a smaller percentage of that overall health spend, that $13,000 a year, a declining percentage of the overall healthcare spend that is going to conservative care. So that's physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech, optometry, podiatry, chiropractic care, dentistry. Those 7 make up conservative care. And then the other big thing that we have is that has not gone really well for us is a spike in costs. So I know for us, back in 2021, let me get that right. Yeah, 2021, we had opened up a 2,000 square foot clinic, and then more recently, this past year, we expanded that clinic, adding another 2,000 square feet, and our construction costs have tripled in that short time, in 24 months. So cost of space has gone up. Now you might be able to negotiate lower rents in some areas. I've heard about that sporadically, especially in large metro areas, but in outside of those large metro areas, being New York, San Francisco, et cetera, where there's mass vacancies, and you can definitely negotiate lower than historical rates, lower than market rates from 2 or 3 years ago. In most areas, the costs are going up because the cost to new build has gone up significantly, and that makes space more expensive because if buildings are more expensive to build, there's less available on the market. So we're seeing a lot of areas in the country that those costs are going up. I know for us, down the street a year ago, somebody could go to work at Chick-fil-A for $20 an hour. That hopefully is going away a little bit, but that makes it very difficult for us to hire unless somebody is passionate and they really just want to help people, which is a great culture match for us. In the past, for a position, we might have over 100 applicants, and that doesn't seem to be happening here within this last year. Although that hopefully is getting under control here as we roll into 2024. The other one is interest rates have gone up significantly. So I know on one commercial property that we own, mortgage rates are at 3%. And I think we even had a property that was locked in lower at 3%. And then for the newer rates that I looked at, not that they're affecting us, but I know they're affecting other practices. Those interest rates are now 7, 8, 9%, maybe even higher on their mortgages or their business loans if they have a revolving credit line, things like that. That's definitely increased interest expense is a very real issue. And then the final thing that didn't go great for many practices is regrettable departures. And so anytime that we have a team member leave, that I believe the way that Facebook quantifies it is it's a regrettable or non-regrettable departure. Non-regrettable, pretty self-explanatory, but that's where the person leaves and they weren't a core values fit for us, or they weren't uh, performing up to speed. The competencies weren't where they needed to be, and it just wasn't the right fit. A regrettable departure is where they were a core values match, they were competent, and they left for another opportunity. And so I've heard increased reports of regrettable departures, dramatic increase in because of the pressure on the cost of living, team members asking for raises. So in the end, what do we have? Downward pressure on our income, upward pressure on our cost, shrinking profit margins. Not a new story for us in private practice, but a very real one here, especially in 2023. Kind of seems like everything's coming to a head. So that is my what did not go well column. In the what went well, and this is going to be a little bit maybe shocking or counterintuitive at first, but anytime there is more pressure, I've always seen that in the end, maybe not immediately, but after time, anytime there's a high pressure situation, stress creates opportunity. And here's what I mean by that. If I'm in a town with 20 other practices and we're all facing downward pressure on reimbursements and our revenues, increased patient responsibility, um, increased cost of doing business, shrinking profit margins. I know that the typical practice owner, fellow practice owner, is going to pull back by nature. They're going to maybe shelf their plans, compromise their plans to open another clinic. They're gonna pull back on their marketing. That trying to gain more market share within the marketplace. They're gonna cut expenses in some way. And in most of the time, it's because personally they're putting a lot of pressure on the practice to generate their own personal income. So they can make some ill-advised business decisions. At the same time, I'm willing to go forward and actually lean in even more in those situations. And I'll go back to the financial crisis back in 2008, 2009. We ended up buying a few properties during that time that were in a distressed situation because the interest rates on the properties had gone from 4% to 7% overnight. And if you're talking about a $2 million building or $3 million building, a 3% rate hike can literally mean $5,000, $7,500 a month extra in interest expense. And if a building owner is relying on that real estate solely for their income, and they can't cover that expense, they're going to have to get out of that situation. So we were able to buy some properties because we were somewhat prepared, had cash on hand, and could help the owner out. That we could get them out of that situation that they weren't in a position to handle, and those opportunities ended up turning out really well for us long term. So I know that same thing, in our private practice. There's not going to be a lot of aggressive growth at this time in the marketplace, and we're in a position that we're able to do that. So I know it creates some opportunity. And what I want to finish with here is going through the three areas of practice and what it really means, how we can apply this. And by the way, I'm sharing this with you so you can turn around and do the same thing. So for personnel, We have, because of that increased pressure on the cost of living and student loan, the amount of student loan, that's unreal to me that somebody can borrow 350, $400,000 in student loans to get a DPT at 10% interest, and they're going to make a $4,000 payment every month for the next 30 years. That is a wild concept to me. To come out of school and make 60, 70, 80, $90,000 a year. Pretty rough trade-off. But I understand that the team member is under a lot of stress, under a lot, but they're looking for something. And so, one differentiator for our practice that we've created is we can show somebody a ladder, right? So if a prospective clinician is in front of us and they're just looking for a higher pay today, I can tell you right now, you can go to another setting and earn more today. But I can show you how to be more valuable in the marketplace. We can provide mentorship, we can provide education, we're providing future pacing. And here's what it looks like, for you to come in as a staff PT. Here's what it looks like to be a team leader. Here's what it looks like to be a clinical director. Here's what it looks like to be an equity partner. And that, again, that's an opportunity for us in the marketplace. So, personnel, think about, how can you differentiate yourself within the marketplace? Can you have a different sort of incentivization structure, or, where the clinician has more skin in the game and also more reward? Lots of references on that, but I would put some thought into that as you're moving forward here and planning for 2024. In marketing, with the increased health spend, it is more and more acceptable today than it was 20 years ago for somebody to pay cash for their own health. I can recall it back when I came out of school in 2000 and had my first physical therapy job. Somebody getting extremely upset, irate. I thought they were going to throw a chair in the waiting room because they went from a $5 to $10 copay over the change in the new year. So absolutely wild. That would have been like January of 2001. And so $5 to $10 copay. People would die for a $10 copay today. And for PTOT speech, et cetera. So conservative care is more and more accepted in the marketplace today than it was back then. Back then, it was the only way that somebody could get to a functional medicine doctor or a physical therapist or a chiropractor is through a professional referral, and for the most part, we were considered alternative health, and that it's mainstream today, right? You see reports in the news frequently of somebody going to see, flying overseas to see a functional med doctor, whether it's on the professional athlete level or, somebody who's a CEO or executive type, a celebrity, they're seeing their physical therapist, lots of news stories like that. Conservative care is now mainstream. So it's more acceptable. It's more acceptable for somebody to pull out, $4,000 out of their pocket in cash, or take out a small loan to invest in their own health, more so than years ago in the past. So marketing, lots of opportunities there. We have more media channels. We have more platforms that we can be on. There is more media consumption than ever before. It is easier to reach the consumer than ever before and less expensive. So lots of tools there, from email marketing to texting to online media with Meta and Alphabet, et cetera, that we can take advantage of and use to gain more market share. And again, the other thing that I realize is that that anytime that we have a stressful situation like we do right now, most practice owners are going to scale back their marketing efforts, their attempt to buy more market share, if they do know how to do it. So really just another differentiation point where you can separate yourself in the marketplace and gain more market share. And then the final one is the financial. So, a personal, we have 7 clinics now, and we were able to expand via cash. So I didn't really rely on leverage. I think it creates some situations. So if you have a practice that's in a cash positive situation, you're likely to be able to access less expensive lending than your competitors within your marketplace, or you utilize cash. So when we opened our 6 or 7 clinics, we were using cash to expand. Same thing for adding any services, or if you're buying a new Light Force laser or something like that, we always like to have cash on hand to be able to do that. Another one under financial is the ability to add cash-based services, which I just alluded to with the Light Force laser, but way more acceptable today for somebody to come in for physical therapy and then buy a package of laser treatment, or whatever it is that you're offering, if it's small group fitness or personal training or nutritional counseling or hyperbaric oxygen therapy, whatever that might be. Anything else with Novus, Shockwave, decompression, new fit, run DNA, all these additional services that we can provide to people, much more accepted today, easier to get us into a financial situation. And this is going to be my final point. 10 years ago, when I went to my first speaking engagement here with Breakthrough, I had shared this idea of a patient experience funnel. And it's essentially 6 steps that anybody who is now part of what most of us call cold traffic marketing. So this is a person who doesn't know, like, and trust you yet out in the general marketplace, that ultimately comes in and converts over to a paying patient. That there were 3 big mistakes that we were making as private practice owners. And one of those mistakes was no back end on the funnel. And that would be, so most of us at that time were thinking about our practice with no front end of the funnel. So that's primarily attraction. Then we have the core service, which is number 3. That's the middle of the funnel. And that's where we're providing our typical treatments. So whether you're providing dentistry service or optometry service or physical therapy, so whatever it might be, that's the clinical services that you're providing. And then after that, we have 3 steps. The first one is cash-based services and upsells. So that somebody's coming into us for physical therapy, and now we provide them with a laser package that's $500, right? So that additional revenue is there. And then after that, so cash pays and upsells. The 5th step was reactivation or return path. So past patients being reactivated for additional plans of care. And then the final step number 6, was referrals. So word of mouth referrals from our growing list of raving fans. Now, at that time, I said, listen, there will be a day, and this isn't Nostradamus like or anything like that. It's very much, if you just think through the evolution of how businesses operate, that clinical service over time gets driven down pretty hard, especially by larger institutions, insurance companies, et cetera. So it's not a new business cycle that we're encountering here as healthcare practitioners that are in conservative care in the US. This is what happens with most industries. So that service is being driven down, and that there may be a day where the service is break even. That's almost where we're at here in private practice PT right now. And the only profitability, the only margin of safety will be in the back end of the funnel. Again, that was back in 2013, 2014, we started talking about that. And another way to think about this, it might be easier to see if we take another business that everybody knows. So McDonald's, right, is selling you Big Macs, cheeseburgers, et cetera. That's what they were known for. The original McDonald's Brothers restaurant was known for their very affordable cheeseburgers. And I think it was, 15 cents or something like that. So the McDonald's makes almost no margin at all. It's almost a break even on the cheeseburger. However, every time you go to order a Big Mac or a cheeseburger or filet of fish or whatever, the McRib, whatever it is that you're ordering, the person that's taking your order usually is going to ask, would you like a Coke and fries with that? Right. And that is where they make the majority of their margin. So it's not made on the sell the cheeseburger, it's made on the Coke, which now is going to cost you, $2 or $3, and the fries. And that is where the profitability lies. We have to start thinking about that, especially if we're in a situation, if we have a practice where we're barely breaking even on our core service, whatever that core clinical service is that we're providing, especially if we're in network and we don't have the price elasticity where we can raise our rates and in terms of what we're receiving in revenue from that third party for that third party payer. So, in summary, in a nutshell, thinking back here to 2023, I think we have increased pressure. Right, the pressure has not reversed, and I think what that's going to do here forward is create a lot of opportunity for those that are willing to um, get more knowledge, especially by investing in themselves, looking for best practices, and ultimately putting that knowledge into action, right? So you can easily go now and learn. I know we teach this all the time, just getting off a couple of calls here today for owners that are going through our courses, but teaching them how to add a cash-based service, how to drop a lowest payer, how to renegotiate rates, how to attract more of their best payers, how to roll out an incentivization program for their team, for their practice. So all of those things are very learnable, and I think the future, the market share, the increased value in the marketplace is going to go to those owners who are willing to go out and learn and then implement into their practice as well. And it is a great time for opportunity, more so than ever before. When everything's going well, it's very difficult to differentiate and compete. When things are going not so well, it's really an opportunity for you to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Anyhow, hope you enjoy this episode. Hope I gave you some breakthroughs, cognitions, realizations that you can take forth and plan an excellent 2024 and really gain more market share, provide more high quality of care within your marketplace, helping people in your area in your community, overcome their healthcare challenges naturally by the services that you provide. Hope you enjoy this again and have a happy new year. See everybody. Hey everybody, Chad Madden here, and want to tell you about our upcoming event here in 2024. We're going back to the implementation boot camp. This is where you're working live on your practice in a group filled with other practice owners, and this specifically is around mastering your profits. So it's a breakthrough boot camp, master your profits. It's February 8th through 10th in Orlando, Florida. You're going to be right there in Disney. If you want to, make it a family vacation on as well around the bookends, I'll be doing that. My family will be down the week before the event, but it's going to be awesome, specifically because of what's happening in private practice right now. You already know the details. You're likely feeling this right now. Downward pressure on reimbursements, upward pressure on cost, creating a lot of problems for us. And I want to share a quick story with you before I tell you exactly about the sessions, about the speakers that are going to be there that you're going to want to hear from as well, and the setup. So a few years ago, we had a financial crisis in the country, 2007, 2008. And at that time in 2009, in the middle of it, we were really struggling in private practice. There was a point I did not think that we were going to make it through. And it kind of left me in a funk for about 2 years. We had lost some staff. I took on a lot of space. I think we were up to 12,000. We went from 4,000 to 12,000 square feet in less than a year, and created a lot of problems for myself. I was in an absolute funk, stopped investing in myself. And what bounced me out of it is I had a friend's name was Kevin. Kevin was like, hey, you need to come to this event. And it was an event for small business owners. But he said, I really think, that this is for you. And I'd been talking with Kevin almost daily for years. Anyhow, I tried to get out of it last minute. I said, listen, I have too much to do at work. I have too much other stuff going on with my family. There's no way that I can make the time. And he stopped and he pulled me aside and he said, listen, you need to invest in yourself. He said, I got you a ticket, show up to the event. You will not regret it. And what was weird is I went to the event, ended up buying a stack of books, which are still on my bookshelf here, and it completely transformed our practice. And that's the same exact spark that I'm guessing that you might be looking for, a little catalyst. I know some owners will say, I need a little kick in the rear end, kick in the tail, but that's the same exact catalyst that this event can give you, and especially if you're looking for more profitability. So what's in store for you? We're going to do, a macro overlook of everything that's going on, the state of PT, and everything that's in store for us in 2024. We're going to be walking through the profit leak audit. This was the transformative exercise that I went through that completely changed how we were looking at our profitability in my own private practice, and how other owners are doing that as well. We're going to go over the 4 profit levers in depth and how you can implement each one of those. And you're not just going to be hearing from me, you're also going to be hearing from other owners that are currently implementing this and are successful in their own private practices. Other owners from all over the country, Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania, Michigan, California, etc. We're also going to be going over the pro forma. I'll be spicing this up a notch, where in the past you've likely have seen one, and the way that we teach it in the course is, month 1, which was yesterday, your P&L, over to a monthly thing for sometime in the future, right? So you've seen the pro forma tool. I'm gonna show you the exact 5-year tool that we're now using, and I'll even share with you the 13-year that Mike and I put together back in 2017 in terms of our forecast, and I'll update you how well that's working and some of the shortfalls that have happened along the way. But you'll be hearing again, you'll have the tool, you'll have the more advanced tool, and you'll learn exactly how to use that for your practice. We're going to be going through live examples as well. Lots of live examples. I know that's the number one thing that's requested. In the past, I shared a lot of my numbers. I'll be bringing that back and share actual reports from my private practice. And I think we're going to get a few other owners to do the same. I know in the past you've heard from owners that are implementing, like Tony Sear, Sean Weatherston, Jennifer Ratner, Lance Gross, Chris Gordos, Deepak, all have been on the stage willing to share. I expect the same exact thing here at this event. We're going to be going through patient conversion with people that are actively doing the patient conversion right now. Software training with Sarah Pierce, very much looking forward to that. Sarah's awesome. Workshop presenting, Mary DeLong, Bob Kowalik, Mark Callanan, John Logar. If you remember John Logar from Australia, the healthcare trends expert, will be coming back. I know Chris Redding has also been invited as well. So we're going to be, it's going to be jam-packed. We'll be doing live implementation sessions, so where you'll be learning and then you'll be implementing it right away into your practice. We're going to have mastermind sessions as well, and the roundtables with the breakouts, because they've been such a hit. If you haven't registered already, the day to get the your cheapest ticket, your least expensive ticket, is right now. Save the most money. Register. Once you register, you'll be getting details on the hotel as well. I'm sure that's somewhere on this page or in this email. But so you get the link, the discount link for the hotel room as well. This is an event you will not want to miss, especially with everything that's happening in private practice PT. I'll see you there.